More than 4 billion years ago, our Earth was formed, and ever since, it has been spinning with ferocious speed. This phenomenon is important to the balance of our planet, but what if it suddenly stopped for a second? Would it affect our day-to-day lives? And can we possibly spin it again? Let's find out. This rotational movement of the Earth around the Sun is responsible for the daytime and nighttime that we experience. Currently, our home planet spins around its axis once every 23 hours and 56 minutes. Naturally, if an object were to spin on Earth, the air and surface around it would constantly oppose its motion. This process would lead to friction and eventually cause the Earth to slow down. However, our Earth spins in space, which is more or less an empty vacuum without any surface or air. This means there's practically nothing in space to slow down the Earth. Well, except for the famous celestial object known as the Moon. Apparently, the motion of the side of the Earth that faces the Moon isn't perfectly balanced by gravity. Ironically, this same phenomenon also affects the other side of Earth, facing away from the Moon, making the oceans bulge out on either side of our home planet. Consequentially, as the Earth spins, these bulged oceans move across the Earth's surface like a wave, pushing hard against the Earth's spin. Obviously, this reduces the rotational speed of the Earth and increases the average length of a typical day by 1 second every 50,000 years. Theoretically, we could assume that the continuation of this process over a long period of time could completely halt the movement of the Earth. But the chances of this happening are quite slim, and even if it does, chances are humanity would have gone extinct. Another disaster that could possibly bring the Earth to a standstill is if the blue planet crashes into another astronomical object. Maybe an asteroid or comet, or perhaps another planet, but that's a long shot as well. But for the sake of this video, let's assume that somehow the Earth stopped spinning for 1 year. What would be your fate? In summary, we'd be in for a long ride, one that could possibly lead to the end of our existence and the demise of this hospitable planet that has been our home for many centuries. Describing what this scenario will look like, Neil deGrasse Tyson predicts that it will be a situation of doom for humans. In his own words, the notable astrophysicist says, "It would kill everyone on Earth. People would be flying out of windows, and that would be just a bad day on Earth." But could there be a chance for survival? According to Tyson, humans and everything else on Earth are moving at a speed of between 800 and 1,000 miles per hour toward the east. If you manage to bring it to a halt, everything that is not seatbelted to the planet would go flying out towards the east at a speed between 800 and 1,000 miles per hour, or possibly even more. But we probably wouldn't even live long enough to see our fellow humans and objects fly around in broad daylight like Superman. This is because a stationary Earth means everything on the planet would experience a sideways deceleration of 3/4 of Earth's gravity. With this, the surface of the Earth would feel like it's at 38 degrees of the vertical, which is more than enough to wreck most construction. But that's not all. At the same time, we'd be susceptible to high-speed winds ravaging the surface of the Earth with an unforgivable pace. This terror wind would drift through our planet with so much speed and force that it would be many times greater than the strongest wind or hurricane force gust ever experienced on Earth. But if somehow you're buckled to our home planet, and assuming you have a helmet made of pure steel, you just might be able to survive this initial onslaught. After some time, the sun wouldn't travel across the sky anymore because, as you know, the motion of the sun is generated by the rotation of our Earth. As a result, a single day on Earth, which currently lasts 24 hours, will last for at least half a year. Expectedly, the usual biological rhythmic cycle will be disrupted. All the natural signals and triggers that automatically tell our body what to do will be disrupted. Ordinarily, the atmospheric conditions, particularly the strong wind, could haul humans and objects into space at will. But that would be impossible, because the Earth's gravity would still be pulling them towards its center. Interestingly, people at the North or South Pole might still be unaware of the danger that looms because both of these locations are believed to have an angular momentum of 0. Interestingly, Earth's atmosphere would still continue to move, but our regular wind patterns would be disrupted in many ways. For one, our planet would no longer experience hurricanes, but there would be more scary moments for humanity. Much like everything else on Earth, the oceans and every other body of water will keep moving with intense speed even after the Earth stops spinning. This artificial tsunami would sweep through the streets, causing skyscrapers to fall and giant ships to tumble. Eventually, these bodies of water would migrate to create new oceans from the poles in the northern hemisphere, which are somewhere around Spain, to the edge of Argentina in the southern hemisphere. Also, disruptions in the movement and speed of the Earth's tectonic plates would trigger violent earthquakes and volcanoes that would ravage the entire planet and pollute the air. By now, the momentum of the winds and ocean currents would have reduced significantly, but the destruction will nonetheless continue. Chances are, most living things will have gone extinct by now, except for the penguins and intrepid scientists that live in the Arctic region. But even they would soon feel the heat because the new radical weather pattern would cause the Arctic to become warm and arid. In contrast, deserts and barren lands would witness excessive rainfall. But since all the oceans at the equator would have vacated their normal spots, the vast land left behind would serve as a giant supercontinent. Any creature that is still alive by this time would have it all to do though, because, having been submerged in water for several years, the newly formed continent would be barren, at least at the initial stage. Admittedly, a static Earth would still revolve around the sun, but temperatures would be significantly higher. Also, rather than the usual 12-hour daylight that we currently enjoy, this subcontinent would experience 12 months of daylight and incredibly hot temperatures. Interestingly, the other hemisphere would suffer 12 months of absolute darkness and super cold temperature, around minus 150 degrees Celsius. Critically, the night sky would still remain the same. You would be able to sight the stars, moon, and other celestial objects as they swim gently across the sky. For the species that may still be alive by then, it would be quite difficult to reproduce, especially in these conditions. But getting the Earth to spin again will be even more difficult. As designed by nature, every single planet in the outer solar system rotates right from the moment it is formed. However, there are some planets and cosmic objects that act as if they don't rotate. This phenomenon is described as tidal locking, which happens when a celestial world shows the same face to its stars at all times. The perfect example to describe this is our very own moon. The moon is believed to be tidally locked with Earth, which is why we only get to see one side of it, regardless of where it is in the sky. Some exoplanets also experience this phenomenon, which causes them to be frozen on one side and baked on the other. All in all, if our home planet would stop spinning completely, there is no chance we could ever spin it again. At least not with our already existing technology. The survival colony would need to adapt to the new circumstances on the pale blue dot that has become super hostile and live out their lives like they would do on Mars.